Well, thanks to SaaStock and thanks to Alex for putting together another great event this year. I'm from Boston, flew in on Monday, and really happy to share my story and things I've learned building LinkSquares to 50 million in ARR. I've had 15 years of operating SaaS companies and a whole bunch of years angel investing now and supporting venture funds. So I get to see a lot of the market, I get to see a lot of what startups are doing. Quick plug for LinkSquares, the company I founded. It's an AI technology platform for in-house legal teams, specifically around contract lifecycle management. The company is founded in Boston. We have 300 employees. I've raised a whole bunch of money. We have over 1,000 customers now. So here's the statistics. If you start a SaaS company today, 4% will make it to 1 million. 0.4% will make it to 10 million. And a dot so small that PowerPoint could not render will make it to 50 million. And I'm going to tell you how I did it and teach you 3 really important things I've learned on the journey that hopefully can get you to 50 also. First off, about me, I'm a musician. I've been a musician my whole life since I was 10 years old. I played piano, played tenor saxophone, taught myself how to play guitar. And 25 years as a musician since I was a kid, I really learned everything about being CEO from being a musician. And if you really think about it, if you're in a band and you're writing music, there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of accountability. You have to think about all playing on the same sheet of music. You have to think about playing bigger gigs, playing better shows, and you have to go out there and win and lose together. So most of what I know about being CEO, I learned when I was like 10 years old. So let me introduce a concept to you called the band. This is the band for SaaS companies. It is marketing. It is build, we call it build at LinkSquares, is product and engineering. And it is revenue. And the founders are really like kind of the hype people, getting the show going, getting people excited. And unfortunately, if you're not in one of those 3 departments, you are not in the band. But John Mayer Trio cannot play shows at massive scale all across the country without having a whole lot of people that support a band. Think about it. The people that do the sound, the people that do the lighting, the rigging, drive the tour buses, cook the shows, sell the merch, right? Support the band, right? I think the hardest thing is finance always thinks they're in the band, but they're not. This is the band. This is the band of your company. And when I think about everything I know about being a musician, and I think about all the gigs we've played where we've run our own speaker cables, and we've carried our own amplifiers, we've set up our own drum kits and didn't have any of these luxuries, I know that every single day as CEO, my job is to support this band, this trio, of which like I'm not even really a part of, right? And it's funny, we have 300 employees, we have a large exec team, we have 8 people on the exec team. They technically work for me, but I would challenge you to flip it and say that you as a CEO, you actually work for them. And your job is to optimize this trio and make it the best that it possibly can be. So one of the takeaways is make sure that everyone understands their role. There will be decisions the band has to make. They have to make them by themselves about the future vision of the product and what you're going to build and how you're going to monetize it, how you're going to sell it. Make sure you harmonize the trio and spend 80% of your week every week focusing on the trio in the band. And if you're spending a lot of time in the support function part of it, which is also really important, right? Like HR is really important, legal is really important, finance is really important. Not discrediting any of those. But spend your time making sure that the band plays the best together and you'll go far. Okay, that's takeaway number 1 for today. I'm a big fan of The Office. And you know that Michael Scott has this famous quote that he steals from Wayne Gretzky. But we are what the spreadsheets say we are is my quote. And I say it all the time. And why does that matter to you? Because unit economic mastery is super critical. And as you get started today, maybe you're a founder of a small company, it's going to turn into a big company. Your command and knowledge of unit economics is super important and you have to learn them. And at different scale, you're going to start picking up more and more of these metrics that you're gonna have to understand and control very, very deeply. So like 0 to 1 million, you know what? We only cared about new logos. Just grab new logos. The pricing is not optimized. We're just grabbing logos anywhere we can. Then you start growing up a little bit, start thinking about scale. You start thinking about like, how much are we gonna do year over year, like percentage basis? You start thinking about things like, how efficient is our go-to-market motion, like on a CAC payback basis? You keep going past 10 million. You start thinking about things like gross margin, which is like, gets really hairy when you start thinking about implementing customers. You can have a very challenging kind of AI product, onboarding product needs to be onboarded, legacy data needs to be migrated. These are all LinkSquares things anyways, so I've dealt with them. Then 10 to 25 million, you start picking up the go-to-market everything. Per rep productivity to OTE, that ratio, sales efficiency, number of reps to BDRs, all these different ratios you start having to deal with. And then past 25 million ARR, you then pick up the big company stuff, the burn multiple. You pick up the ARR per employee. So this is your future. You want to get to 10 million ARR, you're going to pick up all these unit economics that is now on you to understand super deeply and understand how to control them for your business. I have this thing, the 4 steps to the data epiphany, and it starts by you building these systems inside your business and starting today. The most basic level of data control or data proficiency is just gathering it, collecting it. Salesforce reports, HubSpot reports, whatever it is. Start collecting it, start tracking things. The next layer is like visualize it, charts and graphs, bar graphs, line graphs, just start understanding it. Waterfall charts. Trends become the next level of intelligence, where you start understanding something is going up and I know why, and something is going down and I don't know why and I have to go know why. But ultimately you want to try to get to level 3 proficiency. And I would say us at 50 million at ARR, we're still striving for that level 3 level of data knowledge, which is ultimately prediction. Unit economics, start today. If you're not strong in unit economics, start learning them. Start with David Skock's blog post, famous blog post, SaaS Metrics 2. Read it every single day. Understand it. Work with a fractional CFO expert, whatever it is. Because ultimately, everything becomes an f of x equals y type of function, where you have to know how to get the y's you want, and you know how to input the x's the right way. And ultimately, you're going to have to get so good at it that a year ahead, you can predict it to 99% precision, which is really, really hard. But this is what you will build up to. And knowing this will help you so much. So this is the second takeaway I have for you. Learn unit economics. Have experts teach you, because it will come in handy and you will need it. Okay, what's common to all these great companies, other than they all went public with a single color was in vogue back then, right? What are all these businesses? They're all multi-platform, multi-solution platforms. That's how they grew their revenue massive, right? And that is a key for you to start today thinking about, what's your next product? When are we gonna build it? And also, how hard is it gonna be for us to actually pull this off and have, quote unquote, 2 children? You have 1 children, 1 product, you have another kid now, 2nd kid, 3rd kid, 4th kid. How are you gonna pull it off? Because if you keep on building more products, you'll increase your total addressable market. So that's really good for you. And also, by diversifying your product offering, you can increase the amount of positive business outcomes your customers gain. Like, hey, I'm already solving your A problem. Like, let's go solve your B problem and your C problem and your D problem, and just keep going, right? Just keep going. We're building more stuff. You're buying more stuff. The machine is alive and well. And integrations become the product. You are so sticky. You integrate with everything. You integrate with their Salesforce. You integrate with their billing. You integrate with their ERP, whatever it is. The more stickier you are, the happier you're going to be, because they're not going to be able to leave you. And the sooner you get to that, the faster and better it's going to be for your growth in the future. And listen, if you can expand customers more than the ones that are losing, you just win. Even if new business it's been harder with the economy the last couple of years, I'll be the first person to raise my hand and say that, right? New logo growth has been hard. It's been slower than we thought too. But if your churn is less than how much you're expanding, that's over 100% net retention as the term, you'll just win. Even if it takes longer, you will have a sustaining business. It is possible. When it comes to product development, I talk about this thing called the asymptote theory. And the y-axis, the vertical axis, is the number of features on a density level you need to get 1 out of 4 people that you show this product to buy it, right? And I want you to think about where your product is on this asymptote curve. Here's one version of the asymptote. You're entering into an existing 20-year-old market. The buyers know the features. They've hundreds of different tools at their disposal that they're going to compare you against. And that journey to that density point could take a really long time. You just have to understand that. Category creators, they're different. They don't have the built-in advantage of a market that already knows that this product exists and you should buy it. So you're gonna have to do the work yourself to educate them. But from a product level, it's probably got a lower feature density required. Here's a third scenario. We see it now, right, with large language models. It's like a gold rush scenario. No one knows like what the best large language model is. It's just being invented in a gold rush type of way. The bar is probably even lower, and then continue to push each other, and that's when the asymptotes, plateau, and then they keep growing up. So think about it. Think about your second product today. Even if you don't have any plans to build it, start thinking about what that is. I thought about our second product at LinkSquares for like 3 years before we actually went and built it. But you have to put time and resources into knowing how high up is that asymptote point for you. And for me, my second product, unfortunately, was the 20-year-old market feature density. I thought it could do it in a year. It ended up taking 3 years and probably cost 10 times as much to build. But those are the trade-offs you can make today, and you can start to understand them. It's really important. When you have that second product, sell it. Do not give it away for free. Sell this second product. Make more money. The more things you build, the more money you should make. That's how this game works. Okay, last topic. LinkSquares is not one company. It is 4 different companies, and let me explain to you. I have a decision-making framework that I use. It's a really easy to understand decision-making framework, okay? Here are the 4 companies I have to run. LinkSquares is a company full of people. Their career aspirations, their leadership path, their career laddering, their fair pay, their fair equity, the whole thing, dealing with human beings. It's a big company filled with human beings in all the way that they are. We are what the spreadsheets say we are. So LinkSquares at some level is just a bunch of spreadsheets and unit economics, and our ability to control them, forecast them, get them accurately right. That's a big part of it. Obviously, P&L, income statement, statement of cash, cash flow analysis, FP&A, all that stuff. LinkSquares is also an asset to me, right? I'm an owner of this company. Same with my investors, they own this part of this company. Same with my employees, they own part of this company. So we think about the asset. There's an asset value, right? Every time you raise, get a higher valuation, the asset is worth more to all of us. And then LinkSquares is a brand. It's a brand, and we all know that as consumers, we buy brands. We buy brands in the cars we choose, in the clothes we wear, in the types of companies we support because they have good social causes as to why I buy a jacket or not buy a jacket. Even the town you live in, you're making a brand decision as to why you live there. So when you think about every decision I have to make, I have to factor in these 4 things. Running 4 companies in parallel, all at the same time. Here's an example, the downside. Twilio lays off 11% of the workforce. So what does it do? What could it potentially do to have to make this call? If you're Jeff, the CEO, the former CEO of Twilio had to make this call to do this thing, what's actually gonna happen? It's gonna benefit the financials, right? That's why they did it. It's gonna benefit the asset because the asset can be valued better in the public markets. But you know what? It's gonna hurt the people because they're gonna lose their coworkers and they're gonna go through this emotional turmoil of having a riff inside the business, and it could hurt the brand, even though I think Twilio's brand is okay. But this is a real life example. Here's another good one, the upside. We raised $100 million 2 years ago. Cool, all 4 of those go to the positive category. But the takeaway here is, eventually, you will hire enough experts at your business, and I know it probably doesn't feel like this today, and it certainly didn't feel like it for myself as a founder. The experts will come. You will fill up the bank account. You will hire an expert to solve every low and medium hard problem in the business, period. And you will love it. They will take care of most of it. And you'll guide them and teach them the what and not teach them the how, but what is important to you. And that'll be great. So unfortunately, the CEO and the founders, they're going to be left with the ugliest, hairiest, most ambiguous, most risk-fraught things you have to decide on. And think about this framework when you have to make decisions like that. Because if one of the 4 companies is a negative output, it's a massive decision. If it was two negative out of the 4, it might be the biggest decision you've ever made in your entire life and the company's journey. And the more you think about how is it going to impact these 4 companies that we have, then it's easier for you to live with decisions or make the really hard ones. And it works. So think through these things with a lot of knowledge, okay? That's it for me today, talking about our journey to 50 million. And this is a picture of my co-founder and I. We're still together. It's 8 years in. This is our first office ever. We call it Office 0. My wife drew the logo of our old logo on the door in dry erase. Now we're the second biggest tenant in a giant skyscraper in Boston. But it starts here, okay? And you can make it to 50 million because dreams do come true. But it's mostly about you not giving up. And if you never give up, you'll probably make it. And I wish you well on that journey. Take care. Thanks, SaaStock.